Hey, hey! All right, so welcome to the Breakthrough series, which is something I was really inspired to do because a lot of people see, um, the instant success, and I really want to break that myth down. So my name is Meg Church. I'm having on this wonderful, beautiful guest, Krissi, on today to talk about some of her own battles, how she broke up with the bully, which we'll go into, and then who she's becoming. She's an amazing coach. She's an amazing wife and mama. And I want to just have her on and share some of her story today. So we're going to welcome her to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I get teary-eyed almost when you introduce me like that. That's
Really?
how, yeah, and like that's how in tune with energy and an empathic person, that I am.
Well, I was going to say this, like, oh crap, I forgot. So Krissi and I have never met officially in person, but how we connected, I think, is really cool because your husband was at a business dinner when I was still serving at a high-end restaurant a couple years ago. And he's like, you need to meet my wife, and she's amazing, and you two are going to connect. And so then we connected from there, which at first you were probably like, who is this girl?
No way.
But I think it's just really neat that your husband was able to pick that out, and now we're connected. So kudos to you, Sean.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, so go into, a little bit about what you do now.
Okay.
And then talk about some of the battles that you face. And that's the good, juicy stuff
Everybody wants, right?
Everyone wants the battles.
So I'm Krissi Lemke, for those of you who don't know me, and I am an empathic life coach. So I work with women to strengthen and connect to their intuition and their own psychic abilities so that they can create a life and a business that is truly authentic with themselves.
Ooh.
So, and what's funny is what got me here is all of my struggles.
Yep.
Because when I first met you, for 7 years, I was a health and fitness coach with a network marketing company. And for anyone who has ever worked in network marketing, it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the beginning, it seems like you've got this pretty little gift wrapped in a bow handed to you, and you're like, oh my God, I have my own business. Well, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble here, but it's a lot deeper than that.
Mm-hmm.
And, it comes with a lot of pressure. It comes with a lot of pressure, especially when you don't know a lot of who you are yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you fall into this tornado of impersonating others.
Yep.
Of the comparison game,
Mm-hmm.
information paralysis, which literally keeps you stuck from taking any action because you're so consumed with what they're telling you to be looking at, what they're telling you to do, what they're showing you. And then on top of, you just wanting to naturally get better at your craft or to naturally learn new things. So you've got all of this stuff put on top of who you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So then you start showing up in the world as someone that you think you're supposed to be because, your upline's doing it or the people at the top of your company are doing it. So you think that in order to follow in their footsteps, you have to do exactly what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
In turn, you lose everything about yourself.
Yep.
If you let it, right?
Mm-hmm. So how did you get out of some of that imposter syndrome and that comparison and that
It took me forever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it seemed like forever, when I was in it, because to be honest with you, those things kept me in a circle. I was frustrated. I'd be on top. I'm like, I got this. And then something would happen. Like, I suck. Oh my God, I suck. And then you come back right, like, I got this. Oh my God, I suck. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I was on that hamster wheel for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I got exhausted. I got burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer felt in alignment with how I was doing things. I kind of woke up and was like, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it because they told me to do it. Like, that's not in alignment with who I am. And once I started doing that more and more and more, I realized, like, holy shit, like, oops, sorry, maybe I should. I realized, like, oh my God, I've built my entire business although it was authentic to me at that time, who I was becoming, it was no longer in alignment with that. So once I noticed that, that's when I really started to make the shifts of truly going inward. Like, I don't want to learn from the newest guru.
Yep.
I want to learn from my higher self.
Yep.
That's the person who's going to lead me to where I ultimately want to go. So I really just turned everything inside. I didn't stop showing up for my clients or my business or my social media, but I really shifted gears on what I was sharing, because I was no longer that health and fitness, die hard meal plan, die hard fitness. I was truly taking part in uncovering who I've been covering up for so long.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things is you peel back and you strip back all the layers. It's kind of like someone that you know has on way too many loads of makeup, like too many layers, and you're like, let's see what's under there. And you just keep going. That's kind of what it becomes. But at first, that exposure and showing someone the real you, that vulnerability, like Brene Brown always says, the vulnerability hangover, like it's almost like too much at first, but then you get on a kick and you're like, yes, more of me, you get more of me. And people start to see that and they see who you are. And if they don't jive with it, cool. Like you're not for them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
did that. Did you have a lot of that?
I think at first it's a natural fear for everyone. I think we all want to be liked. Regardless, there's a part of us that we all want to be accepted. We all want to be liked. And in the beginning of, my business and my entrepreneurial journey, I was the same way. I wanted to talk to everyone. I wanted to be liked by everyone. And eventually it got to a point where I'm like, first of all, when you speak to no one, or when you speak to everyone, you speak to no one. So when I started realizing and sharing more of who I am, I've always been a little bit too much vulnerable. So that was never really my issue. It was more like, wow, people got to think I'm fucking nuts, because I am just talking about all these different things now and trying to uncover who I am in front of the public, right? Social media, the interwebs. So naturally, that you're going to be faced with judgment and criticism. And were there moments where I hid because of that? Yes. Even now, now it's still, I don't want to say a struggle, because I'm better at that now.
Right.
You still, sometimes I'll say something, oh, someone's going to say something about this, but I say it anyway. That's when I say it anyway.
Right.
But listen to that voice who's like, oh, is someone going to judge you? And I'm like, like, no time for you. Yes, I'm going to do it. That's that fear gremlin who wants to come in and keep you from being seen. Truthfully, it's safe to be seen.
So with your battle, so with kind of like, that's a huge business battle to go through and to go this route and then kind of take another turn, reroute. You're still
pivot.
part of what you were doing, but it's just different. So I'm pretty sure one of your battles too has been with body image and all the body stuff. And what's fun to watch is how, and I've never told you this before, but how even better you are now with that, just from watching you in the beginning after 2 babies, and the kindness that you have towards yourself. And I don't know, like there's something different, and it's not always something that you say. You could just, I can feel it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, you want to go through kind of how you were before babies and now after?
And it's funny because it's all about embodiment. I embody the truth of who I am versus showing the aesthetics of who I am, right? So in the beginning of my business, I led with fitness because I was a diehard fitness junkie. I loved everything about fitness. I was very fit. I was in the best shape I've ever been in my life. And to be quite honest with you, fitness was the gateway to me uncovering everything else about myself up until this point. It was the gateway to me truly diving in to life, the things that I want, my desires, the possibilities, anything that I saw for myself. But when it came to body image, I was so stuck in how I looked. And of course it brings confidence, it brings some crazy stuff. But once I started, like, I became pregnant, and that was a beautiful experience to watch my body change. And it's a journey. It's such a journey of truly being kind, like you said, and truly giving yourself grace as you move through such a different body type of change. Because not only are you going through a change physically, but you're going through a change mentally, spiritually, everything. Pregnant. So when I got pregnant, it was, oh, great, great, great. This is so much fun. I love my body. Pregnancy is beautiful. And then postpartum comes around. And you're like, who the heck am I? What is this body that I am living in? To be honest with you, after my first pregnancy, I went right back into that fear mentality of gaining weight or not being able to lose it. And I went right back into my old habits of hardcore fitness and meal plans and this and that. And I started noticing, like, first of all, it wasn't happening the way that it used to happen previously, pre-kids. So that mental journey alone really caused me and forced me to have grace for myself and for the journey and to relax.
Did you notice it yourself more, or did someone call you out on it?
Oh, no, I noticed it myself. Okay. And especially, like, I don't want to be completely hypocritical as a health and fitness coach and be like, I want to tell you to have grace, but I'm not having grace myself. And, my healing is your healing. So when I heal something like that and I share it with other people, like, they're healing too.
Yep.
So it was very important for me to be like, what do I want to tell the mom sitting across the table from me? I need to tell myself that. So I started to really be like, okay, give myself grace, still enjoy fitness, but do it in a healthy way.
Right.
And then I got pregnant again, like out of a surprise. So now I'm going back-to-back pregnancies. I got bigger, faster. And then postpartum happens again. And I'm like, okay.
Do you feel like you handled it better the second time?
No.
No?
No.
See, I feel like without knowing, it looked...
Well, thank you. My second pregnancy actually put me in a prenatal depression.
Wow.
And, like, nobody talks about that.
No, I want you to talk about it because I want to know all the things.
Well, I hope I don't cry.
Go for it. If you do, you do.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So when I got pregnant, we had just moved to North Carolina. So I just moved away from all of our friends, all of our family. And why this was a very exciting time in our life. When we moved away, I got pregnant 3 weeks later. And I was like, whoa, this was not supposed to happen right now. We just got here. I just moved away from all of my friends and family. Like, what do you mean? And then we were living in a home that didn't feel like home. It was a bad location, and we were working to get out of it as fast as we could. And then the first trimester, all day awfulness hit like a bag of bricks, like even worse than my first pregnancy. So not only was I taking care of a toddler, I felt like shit all day, every day. I didn't like where we were living. I wasn't sleeping. I was like, I've never been at a lower point in my life.
Man, you would have never known that.
And, because I hid. Well, if I didn't hide, I tried to share my struggles in a way that was honest, yet hopeful.
No, absolutely. Yep.
I was clinging to hope. And that was another turning point in my own self-growth and, my own personal journey, is that I clung to faith with everything I had. I knew that I would get out of this. I knew I had the tools. I was equipped with the tools to get myself out of it. But man, it was really hard. And it wasn't even body image related, which is even crazier.
Yep.
So the body image thing, I probably was more kind to myself this time, meaning like I ate whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and was, to a healthy
right.
To an extent. But I was not hard on myself with my body at all. I focused my second pregnancy entirely on the internal mentality, spirituality kind of alignment, because I knew that that was the most important to me at that time. And then postpartum, I've been way more kind to myself than I've ever been in my whole life. And like, I'm happier, and I embody that kindness and that gentleness and that nurturing aspect that is so important for women and moms particularly.
Speaking of that, so okay, so a couple things. So with the whole the phase that you were going through where it's like that was just like the worst you've ever been in. During a time like that, because people have, you know, mixed reasonings and stuff, do you feel like sharing when you're in that funk where so many people rely on you for, you know, the inspiration and the motivation, or do you feel like you kind of need to digest it first yourself and then start to share? Because that's how I feel personally. Like, is that kind of how you?
Yeah, like, and it's finding a balance, because my business is social media. If I don't show up for my business per se, I have no business. So, and not only that, but I have a duty, I truly feel, as a woman who isn't afraid to use her voice and her presence to show up. So I was really learning to find a balance of, like, you know, if there were days where I could not, days where I could not, and I did not. Like, I didn't want to force anything, and I'm not about being fake. I'm not going to present myself as having all my shit together when I'm completely crumbling in the background.
Right.
So I would be specific on what I chose to talk about that day. Instead of grief, or instead of, you know, handling a surprise pregnancy. Right. And a lot of stuff, especially when you're pregnant in the first, you know, 12 weeks, you can't even talk about it. Well, I mean, you can, but like, I didn't talk about it because, you know, having a few miscarriages prior, like, that's a fine line too, where I don't want to expose what's happening so soon. So here I am, literally having to keep the hardest part of my whole life contained.
Well, and then you're one person you rely on, unless you told any other like close family members. With Sean, you're probably like, okay, I got to talk to you. And then that puts even more like pressure on them. But yet, you know, the type of support you have with him.
I know, but I would be like, you gotta think I'm batshit crazy, because I don't even know what's happening right now.
Well, but I also think, I mean, just from what I've personally witnessed, like, do you think it's really challenging sometimes to post stuff as a mother, knowing that you're going to get feedback from like 10 different types of moms, and how to put boundaries around that? Because I've talked to Derek a lot about that. I'm like, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be the perfect doing this, and this. You could not be doing, you're going to get slammed no matter what, or someone's going to give you opinions, but they're not in your shoes.
Exactly.
So how do you handle that as you battle?
Opinions are very funny. My favorite quote lately is, opinions are just like assholes. Everybody has one. So you really can't take it so personally when, you know, Susie down the street is commenting on your stuff and like, who are you as a mother, and who are you to do that? And I would never let my kid do that. And oh my God, you do that, or you feed your kid this, right? And it's, once you take yourself out of this idea that you're in this pool of people where everyone's at each other, right? I learned to identify myself as separate. Right? I'm separate from your opinion. I'm separate from what you think of me. And I am solidified in who I am, the choices that I make, and how I show up in this world. So you have to have thick skin, especially when you're sharing yourself.
But that's the thing, that I think that some people always glamorize people that are out there, but they don't realize that comes with it. And those are sometimes not always the things that you share. But I always think it's really funny when people like screenshot and like say what they really think and share it. Like, some of them are so funny. Like,
oh my gosh, it's crazy.
And I know you're hilarious, so I know that you have done that.
I remember I made this one post a few years ago Oh my God, it was right after I had Nora, my first daughter. And I was sitting on the toilet, not like really on the toilet. I was just, it looked like I was going to the bathroom, and I had my laptop, and my post was the subtle art of getting shit done, right? Like, as a mom, like napping, I can only work on the toilet, whatever the message was behind it. But I had friends that were like, don't ever do that again. And I'm like, okay.
So yeah, what did you say? Just like,
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, okay. And like I laughed, like, and goodbye. Right. And like I changed the subject. Like, thank you for your opinion, but it's not needed here. Thanks.
right. I think it's really fun. I know that everybody's different. Everybody has like different levels of what they want to share. I love when people share the stuff that nobody wants to share.
And that's your tribe, right?
Yep.
That's ultimately what you're looking for when you are sharing yourself on social media. Like, who am I talking to, right? I want to talk to my tribe. I want to talk to people who get me, and you want to talk to people who get you and resonate with your content and your personality.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm not for you, then like, that's cool. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You really need thick skin, and really like now in this time that we're in, when it comes to like politics and health and safety and vaccines and all of that stuff, it's been particularly important for me in choosing what I share.
Yep.
Because there's that information paralysis again, right? You got all this information.
Well, then I've even seen where people will get on people for not sharing. Why don't you share? Like you have a platform, da, da, da. And like for me personally, I know you've shared a lot of things, but for me, while we were rehabbing this project house, there were levels I was just like, okay, we have family, we have this, we have business, work. Like I can't deal with anything else. I might have a mental breakdown.
I know.
So I think like knowing different phases and seasons of life and what you truly feel like you can give doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion, doesn't mean you don't have a belief in something. But I think, if this would have been you first thing postpartum, you may have been more quiet because you wouldn't have wanted to deal with,
what's going on. Like,
alive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And really differentiating like what is worth your energy.
Yep.
Like, are you putting your energy in the right places to where when you do share what's going on in your life, like, is it coming from a place of love? Is it coming from a place of anger? Like, really trusting yourself and what you're in what you're trying to bring light to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you can get really emotionally charged sometimes. I know I can. I'm like, okay, really take this in. What do you hope to get out of this?
Yep.
Like, are you going to start arguing with people, or they start? Yeah, there's different buttons that can be rubbed. I'm like, I don't feel like getting those buttons rubbed.
I know. There have been like threads that or like posts that I've gone to comment on, and like in the middle of my type, I'm like, this is not my conversation, Krissi. This is not your conversation. Nope. Delete that. Walk away. Go do something else.
It's kind of like when you like past relationships where you really want to yell at someone via text and you type out this long paragraph, you delete it and you put K.
Exactly.
Or if you're getting ready to post on a comment, you put like turn off notifications so you don't like keep getting the notification. Yeah. You want to go back and get charged.
Charged. Yeah. So just pulling it back.
So who have you become? And this is a fun thing for you to think about, like, who are you becoming? Because we're getting ready to go into a new year. Everybody talks about how terrible 2020 was. Which for some people it has been. Some people it like we've grown.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful thing. It may look a little funky, but it's gross. So who are you now? Who are you? Who have you become?
Oh, that's a loaded question. This year has been my biggest year of growth.
Mm-hmm.
I've really dove into my spirituality, my connection with, my intuition, and I trust myself. For the first time, I feel like in my life, I trust myself. I do things based on what feels good, not based on what I was told to do or what I felt like. Yeah, or what I feel like I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Of course, we have responsibilities. I have 2 children. They come first. They are a priority, obviously,
Right.
right? But when it comes to, who I spend time with, how I choose to spend my free time, the direction of my business,
Mm-hmm.
I only operate from a place of flow. If it needs to be forced, I no longer do it.
Yes.
So the freedom that has come with this journey is like, I look back at who I was 3 years ago and I'm just like, girl, you just wait and see, girl.
Yeah.
And I'm a mother of 2, and that is something that I wear proudly. It's taken me a while to feel comfortable in that hat, but oh my gosh, it's one of my most proud hats that I wear. So
Aw.
being able to navigate motherhood now with this newfound personal power and
Mhm.
worth really makes me feel like I've reached the best point in my life.
Superwoman.
Yeah, that's how it feels, right? When you
Mhm.
step into your power and worth, that's really how it feels.
So what's this next year of becoming look like?
Oh, wow.
And this is such a fun question, I think, because it's
Yeah.
the whole next year. I love a new year.
And it's interesting too because I try not to really think that far in ahead because so much can change.
Yep.
And if that's one thing that this year has taught us, it's you have to be fluid. You
Yep.
have to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And so although I don't like to think so far ahead, I feel big shifts in my company and how I teach,
Mm-hmm.
how I work with my clients. My goal is ultimately to help women, really connect to their own knowing so that they really trust themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And with that type of movement, even with what you do, Meg, like you help women open up to possibilities that they never even saw possible for themselves.
Yep.
Healing self-sabotage and really overcoming your struggles. As
Yep.
we continue to help more and more women do that, what's going to happen to this community as women and as mothers is going to be beautiful. And I want to be a part of that movement. So I just see myself getting more connected, more clear, and using my voice and my presence more and more.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's leaving your family a beautiful legacy and so many other women that become like family. And I think that that's the thing that sometimes isn't seen and talked about enough because we always want to fix everyone outside. But when you fix yourself and you can then teach that to your daughters
Yeah.
and you can build that bond even deeper with Sean, because I know as you guys have if you've done your healing, I'm sure he's done his healing, it's bonded you closer. Then you are going to have a solid family unit, and then your family's going to go out and change the world too. So I think that sometimes people think, especially as women, oh, I don't have time. Self-care, I can't do that. And I don't mean bath bombs and all that. I mean like literally just getting out of your own way, saying adios to toxic thoughts. That's a form of self-care. It could take 2 seconds.
The biggest form of self-care, I
Yep.
feel. I mean,
Yep.
of course we all want massages and bath bombs, but if you're not healing and looking at the shit that has caused you to be so negative or to cause you to be so limited in your beliefs, then what you doing, right? You'll never change what goes on around you until you start to change what goes on within you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quotable. So do you want to give them anything or have ways for them to connect with you, or what's the best way?
So for all of you watching this and who would love to connect with me more, because I love connecting with people. So send me some DMs, interact with my stories. I am all about that.
Her stories are fun.
Yes, you can find me at Krissi.Lemke on Instagram. That's usually the platform I use the most and I interact with the most. So you can find me over there. I work one-on-one with clients right now, but I do offer, coaching programs and courses. So you can be on the lookout for that over there.
Whoop, whoop. Do you want to leave them with any Chrissyisms or any words of advice or
Krissyisms. I don't know don't have any. Yes, I do. Oh my God. Over Thanksgiving, we had a bunch of family over. And every time, like, we were playing lots of games. And I'd be like, I'm not even worried if I win or lose, because what's meant for me will be for me. And like all week, it became like this thing all week. But I'm like, it's true.
Will be for me.
Yeah, just trust. Like, I feel like if we learn to trust ourselves and our instincts and our intuition a little bit more, life wouldn't be such a struggle.
Yep.
So just stop looking outside of you for things to change and start turning inward and seeing what can be started on your own journey, reflection of what can, ultimately be shown to you in the outside world, right? Because our outside world is a direct reflection of what's going on inside. So if you're not happy, turn inward.
Turn up.
Turn up.
No,
and then turn up.
Turn in, turn up. For you. I think also, for people that are on the fence with coaching, and I don't think I've ever really said this before, but especially I think the best coaches are the ones that are just a little bit ahead of you. And like, we look up to all these big time, but they're so much further ahead. So having people keep it real and fun, but yet still are going to challenge you to up level and kind of hold your hand. I always say give you a little TLC, because sometimes it is scary going into an area that you don't know yet. So I think to think of coaching as that. It's not something where something's wrong with you. We all need coaches. Even coaches need coaches. But just someone that can literally take you out of that darkness based off of their own expertise. So if you are on the fence, especially going into a new year, don't think of it as something wrong with you. Think of this as something that can really help you navigate some weird or strange waters and turn up.
Yeah. And when you help yourself, you're helping your family, you're helping your children. And that's the legacy that we want to leave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This was fun. I'm excited for Derek and Sean to watch later. And then your girls will be like, Mommy,
you're famous.
Well, guys, thank you so much. Check her out. You will not regret it. She's amazing, as you could tell. And I will see you next time. All right. Bye.